to production part 2. So what we're going to cover in this section is how is editing different with modular method? What power does the editor have? What to encourage from your actors? How a director should act? What is average shooting time? And what in the world is dubbing? So actually we've touched on a lot of this stuff, which I think is really good. So this is just kind of a quick refresher. How is editing different and what power does the editor have? Well, obviously in modular method, especially if you've slated, your editing is going to be faster. What power does the editor have? Surprisingly, they have quite a bit because they're going to kind of control your pacing. You know, like at what time do you cut the shot, you know, this kind of thing. Because like for instance, we always tell our actors, when I say action, give yourself a beat and then go into whatever. Now it is amazing to me how many folks have been told the opposite. You know, and they jump at what I call, they jump on action. And I'm like, what editing software is being used that they can remove the end of my my end from your line? And I'll be like, okay, let's do it again and just give me a moment. Just a split second. I mean, quite literally.
Most people
don't give me 10 frames and we're good to go. Most people don't understand
that slight lag time in electronics. It comes both with tapes, with audio. We gotta allow that because otherwise something weird happens and the waves get kind of over top of each other.
And they're impossible to separate. And again, the same, like at the end of a shot when I say great or that was beautiful or cut or whatever it is, because I will have the actors play out the shot and then I'll say, just stay in character until I say cut. So they'll just hold that moment because I'm like, I want to give my editor that wiggle room. So that lead is where that thing comes in when you're talking about, Jennifer, if you're shooting this heated conversation back and forth, and you know what I'll tell you, a good editor, a good modular method editor will do is actually, like let's say you guys are talking, and it's separate shots, but they'll fold the dialogue, exactly. So when I say your cinematographer loses some power, they become more of a camera operator, so you need to pick someone who's going to be okay with that. Your editor in some way, you could argue, also loses power because he or she is not particularly choosing the best shots. You've already given them the best shots, really. But they are choosing so much. You know, that feel, the pacing. Yeah. And so in that way, you either find an editor you trust or you can still sit with them the way you would with a traditional project. I tend not to do that because I have found editors I really trust and like. And I'm able to articulate, you know, for heated conversations, I like more of a da-da-da-da-da. But for leisurely conversations, I like it to linger a little bit after people speak. So Max and Brienne, when they edit my stuff, they know that's what Jennifer's looking for. That's what I'll do. So your editor doesn't lose actually a lot of power. You know, they still get, and of course they can always say, Lee, what do you think of this? And if it deviates a little bit from the script, that's okay. You're like, oh, I actually do like a slow zoom added in post. That's just adding to it. That's atmospheric. So the distributors are not going to blink. So encouraging your actors, we've already covered that in other parts of the course, but again, know their names, do not physically move them. Be supportive of your actors, be inclusive. If someone is just an extra, don't let them feel that way. Craft services are always for everyone. An extra is still often there for just as much time as everyone else. So be supportive, be loving, let people feel included. How a director should act, yes, we just basically covered that. Act like a professional and don't actually act like the boss. Act like the ringleader. That you're just there, you're part of the circus. You're riding in the train with everybody else from location to location. You're living like everybody else. You're just an employee of the circus trying to make a great show. And you all work together to make a great show. But you're all crazy circus people.
Yep.
Average shooting time. Again, this is like average how many shots per minute. Like, you guys could prove me wrong. You could be like, I write really long shots or I write really short shots. My average is different. So I can say 6 shots a minute equals about a minute average in my writing style. In terms of how fast do I shoot, on a slow day where we have like costume changes and like things like that, I shoot 24 shots in an hour. All I ask is the first time you shoot, I am hoping, right, the first time you guys shoot will be at one of the film anthology events. It'll be a 12 shot, I'll be right there with you, and that first time of you shooting 12 shots will take you an hour, right? So half as fast as I'm doing it 6 years in. But then the next time you'll shoot, or you'll have 2 scripts in the same anthology, because you can have more than 1 script in the anthology at a time. So in your second script, you do it on a different day, and then maybe you're 18 shots in an hour. I would hope that everyone can get up to that 24. I'm not rushing my people at 24 shots an hour, but I gotta tell you, it helps things go really fast. Okay, so there's that. That may or may not be on the test. And when they're talking about average times, I am the average. So those facts that are being quoted are always, they're just my average. So there we go, that's what I am, average. What is dubbing? How do you dub on set? How do you dub after? And what do you use when you dub? So dubbing, people say ADR. Dubbing is when you know for a fact you did not or could not possibly get the dialogue that you need in the moment on set. Why would this happen? Well, it would happen if you're in a extreme wide shot. You're not going to be able to hear dialogue if you're filming an extreme wide shot. However, for instance, Game of Thrones do them constantly. Tiny little figures and their horses, and they're talking to each other over the sound of the horses. And they're way over there, and you can't even see them, but we hear them like they're right at the camera. Because it's like it's done in voiceover, but in the script, it wouldn't be marked in voiceover, but you're going to have to film it, record it like it's in voiceover. Now, how do I do it? I like to do it right there on set. So I like get the EWS, right? Or even if I'm nervous, if it's a wide shot and I'm like, I wonder if we really got this dialogue clearly. I can't see their mouths really moving. It's in a wide. Mm-hmm. Then I say, okay, great, we got the shot, love the visual, everybody come to the camera. Same mic. The mistake that a lot of filmmakers make is they do their ADR, they do their dubbing recording on a different mic. And then that dialogue sounds completely different than everything else. And boy, is it jarring. So, and I tend to do it right after. Sometimes I even will slate it with the shot number and then I'll say voiceover or dub work or voice, dialogue, whatever it is, you know. So, if you are in wide shot, you pretty much will want to do it. If you're in an EWS, you absolutely want to do it. The other time that you want to dub is, of course, if there's a lot of noise. Let's say there's a location, it's a beautiful Japanese garden, but it just so happens to be right under the SeaTac flight plan. Yes. So you're like, this location looks like it is the garden of the castle in my fantasy world. I am trying to make a micro-budget fantasy film, so I've decided to make the most difficult thing to make. And I want this garden. I will not compromise. I want it. That's fine. Totally have it. Record it just like you would with anything else, but then you're going to wind up getting the actors to dub all of those lines. Now you say, Jennifer, every single line, well, like, yeah, even the close-ups in the mid-shot, you're going to get airplane noise. So you're going to wind up taking out all the native sound. So then obviously you're not recording right there in the garden. How do you do that? You bring everyone together on the same day. You have the film or the scene already edited. That's important. You put it on a laptop or, well, actually, you have to have a laptop and it's unplugged. It's something that isn't going to cycle its engine, okay? Or on the TV, and you play the scene. Now, you'll be able to hear the airplanes, right? Of course. So don't take out the sound yet on your edited piece. You're going to hear the airplanes and you're going to faintly hear the actors speaking, but they also have the script. Then they're going to watch their own mouths, and then they're going to speak into your mic. What mic? If you're shooting, it's the same one. Even if it's not in the location, shoot with the same one. And you want them to watch their mouths, because I can say, hello everyone and welcome to the modular method class. Hey, isn't this great? Well, what was not in the script? Hey. But if they added that little verbal ad lib, they need to do it again. Because if they're like, well, the script says blah, 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 I'm like, I need you to say what you said. Yeah. Not per se what the script says, but what you said. So that's the way you would then dub that. Now, the great thing about that is that literally does mean, once you master that, that means you can shoot anywhere.
Right.
Because you can take out native sound and you know how to put dialogue back in. But there you go. And then you would give your new voice clips to your editor. They would take out the native sound, put in their own ambient sound, and put in their dubbing. Okay.
Some actors can dub and some can't.
Yeah.
Yes.
You might want to know that in advance if you're
Yes.
in a noisy location.
Yes, and interesting, that's so fascinating that Lee mentioned that, and I hope that the mic picked that up. But it is true. Some actors can't do it. They find it very difficult to, especially, interestingly enough, I found method actors, they feel like they can't recapture the vocal tricks that they put into their character. We tend, and I think, Christopher, you know this from working with us as an actor, that we tend not to dub. If we dub, we do the fast and dirty dubbing, which is, I'm afraid that line, that single line, didn't pick up quite right. Come and just give it to me into the mic. And then we'll, what we call sentence mix. We'll take, you know, the voice from one clip and then put it into another. But we do try to avoid it by and large. Of course, you're adding massive amount of time and work anytime you have to dub. Okay, and that is that segment. So that is all of segment 14, which is our production notes. So let's move into the next segment.